I'm going to have Lisa help us have a child. You won't stop me, right? Mark said, sitting on the sofa, holding that Excel spreadsheet, his eyes gleaming with self-satisfied calculation. His voice was calm, but it cut through me like a knife. In our 3 years of marriage, he had never treated me as an equal. Every sarcastic remark, every slight and every attempt to control me made me feel like I was living in a constant state of oppression. And today, he even wanted to drag my closest friend into his selfish plan, using my trust as a bargaining chip. I stood at the doorway, my eyes coldly fixed on him. Lisa sat on the other side of the sofa, holding her coffee cup, smiling politely, but I could see the hesitation and unease in her eyes. Mark knew she was my closest friend, which is why he dared to put this ridiculous proposal on the table, assuming I would give in. 6 months later, he was sitting alone in an empty room, staring at his phone as everything he had done was exposed. His face went pale, his body trembled. The man who once thought he controlled everything had now completely lost his marriage, his dignity, and everyone's trust, left only to whimper in regret and fear. My marriage with Mark had lasted 3 years, and every day we tried to conceive felt like burying another small hope. Every negative pregnancy test, I held back my tears, like attending a tiny funeral. He would sit beside me, scrolling through adoption websites as if shopping online, each sigh heavier than the last. Whenever I asked, "What should we do?" he would answer lightly, "Don't worry, I'll figure it out." But I knew his solutions never once considered my feelings. I had tried to communicate with him before, only to be met with cold sarcasm. "You're too sensitive. Stop thinking everything revolves around you. You should learn to sacrifice for the family," like my coworker Jenny. Over these 3 years, his words always pushed me back into a corner, making me doubt my own judgment. I would work late nights at the office, and he would call, "Staying up again? Trying to disappoint me?" I would proudly share achievements with friends, and he would reduce them to nothing with a single offhand comment. Even earlier, when we were dating, he constantly compared me to his brother Kevin. "Look how successful and considerate my brother is. You should learn from him." Back then, I silently endured, afraid of conflict, too timid to expose his hypocrisy. That shame, that feeling of being belittled and powerless, accumulated in my heart like a hidden current, waiting. Then one day, I accidentally found a folder hidden in his desk drawer. Inside were sperm analysis reports from 2 years before we married, clearly showing he was completely infertile. The letters and numbers were cold on the page, but each line hit me like a hammer: congenital, irreversible, no surgical options. Every time he had held my hand and comforted me after another failed test, he had known the problem was not me, but him. Behind his fake smiles, he was secretly planning to use someone else to fulfill his dream. I opened his computer and found 6 months' worth of private messages between him and Lisa. They discussed how, once I agreed to help, their plan would proceed smoothly, even joking, "She'll probably thank us for taking the burden off her." My hands were sweating, but my mind was clear. I wasn't just a woman who cried. I had closed major mergers on my own at work, had outsmarted betrayal from friends and the condescension of bosses. Now I just needed a plan, one that would give me full control. And I knew exactly who could help: Mark's perfect brother, Kevin. Kevin, a Harvard MBA, a powerhouse in finance, disciplined and rational, was the one Mark envied most. I called him calmly. "Kevin, I need your help. This involves Mark and our future child." There was a 1-second pause on the line, then he answered firmly, "Tell me what you want to do. I'm in." From that moment, I began my pretend defeat strategy. Every morning I sighed before Mark, speaking with helplessness. "Maybe you're right. We should be practical. I agree, we should try it the traditional way." His eyes lit up, thinking victory was finally his. At dinner, I continued to act disheartened, quietly noting every action, every word. He planned schedules and strategies in front of me, even trying to involve Lisa in the details. Every step, I recorded silently, preparing my next move. Finally, the crucial night came. I told Mark to stay out late, and I said to Kevin, "It's time." Kevin walked into the living room, tie straightened, eyes calm and resolute. I placed his sperm report casually on the table. "I think you may have forgotten this." Mark's face went ghostly white. What do you mean?" We. I smiled calmly. "You always wanted to try the traditional way, didn't you? Congratulations, I found the right person. We've already started." Kevin descended from upstairs, standing beside me, his presence unshakable. Mark stammered, eyes wide with fear and disbelief. He tried to regain control, yelling, "You've ruined my life." I shook my head gently, voice even, "You ruined yourself." In the following days, I sent all his scheming messages and infertility evidence to Lisa and informed our families and friends, exposing his plan completely. Lisa cut all ties in anger, his colleagues and relatives distanced themselves. He fumed in frustration but could not contest the facts, left only trembling in despair and fear. Every time he tried to lash out, I responded calmly, observing the natural law of consequences: evil gets its due. 6 months later, the divorce was finalized. Mark lost his marriage, trust, and dignity. I regained control of my life. Kevin became my strongest ally, and together we planned for the future. I also reclaimed myself, in both work and life. On quiet nights, I think of Mark lying awake, scrolling his phone in anxiety, unable to sleep, realizing fully that he had lost everything. I smile, without a trace of pity. This is victory, this is justice. Now, I focus on myself, my work, and my friends, even considering a new family plan. But I know some people never forget. The silent, cold revenge I executed will haunt him for life. Mark's trembling and fear are my deepest comfort, and I, at last, am free.